How's it going, everybody? This is Jose Trujillo. Welcome once again. Today is Takeaway Friday, okay? Every day, every weekday at noon Arizona time, I come to you to talk about artwork and all the things surrounding that area, okay? So today's Takeaway Friday. Today I get to talk to you guys about what I've learned throughout the week, things that maybe helped me, things that didn't help me, and how do I make my next week better, right? Because you always want to be getting better at what you do. How's it going, Shanaz? How's it going, Shema? Art94. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Today, again, it's Takeaway Friday, where I talk to you guys about things that I've learned this week. Things what I've learned to help me advance, right, in my art career. And maybe by talking about some of these things, you guys get to also learn some stuff, learn what to do, what not to do. I don't know what you guys are doing, of course, right? But I think there are certain similarities in different art forms, different ways that we create art. Hi, Shema. I hope I'm pronouncing the handle correct, the Instagram name. And so why is it that I started doing this? Well, because I go through my week, right? I'm a working artist. I'm a full-time working artist, and I go through my week looking at things. How can things help me, right? How can I get better? How can maybe I little things, right? Because sometimes it's not the big things. My hands are full of gesso. My fingers. I've been gessoing some canvas. Maybe not big things, little things, subtle things, right? That are advancing you. I know that a lot of people talk about, a lot of the gurus out there talk about becoming better 1%. If you just become better 1% a day, not 100%. In 100 days, of course, you're going to be 100% better than the way you were performing before. Shana says, getting my mojo back to get back on track and try to finish a commissioned portrait. Awesome. Keep that mojo going. How's it going, Dina here, 786. Samira, how's it going? Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Marion Merrill 58. Thank you guys. I appreciate so much the hearts. They mean so much to me. It's just really cool that you guys get to hang out with me here. I got my coffee on. So let's get started with some of this stuff. What are some of the things that, hey, how's it going, Leroy? Some of the things that I've learned this week. Well, let's start with the ones that probably hurt me the most, right? As I'm going through my week, I started noticing things that I have already told myself, right? I asked myself, please, Jose, listen. Look, pay attention to the way that you're working, right? Pay attention to how focused you are, right? Because I like to use a whole speed thing, right? I like to create things fast. I like to create artwork fast. I like to move into my area of work really quick. That's that's my jam. And I started noticing, yes, I'm fast, but am I persistent, right? How persistent am I? And that's really one of the things I want to talk to you guys about. Look, you could be the best artist out there, right? You could be the best artist. You could be the fastest. You could be the one who paints the most detail. You could be the one who paints the hyperrealism or whatever. You can be a great artist out there. But if you don't maintain that persistence, it's like saying, I don't know, like a boxer saying, yeah, I can knock someone out. But if they don't know how to maintain 12 rounds, right? How to stay up 12 rounds, then it's going to be very difficult, right? For these people to win a fight. It's the same thing, I think, with being an artist. If you don't maintain that, let's say today you gave it all you had, right? And if tomorrow you give it partially, then it averages, right? And if the next day you give it, 25% only, and then in 3 days you give it 100%, and then you're like, yeah, I'm giving it 100%. No, you're not. If you average it through the week, right? I know this is kind of like, I'm talking numbers and whatnot, but if you average it, then you probably just gave it like 25, 30%, right? 40% at most a week of where you can actually give it, right? There's my phone. Just a second, guys. So, I'm back. So, it's pretty much like that, you know? And I started noticing how when you go after something, right? When you go after something and you put in the time, you put in the effort, you put in, you know, the hours, but if you don't repeat it the next day, you will start finding an average, right? Everything is an average. Like I know it's not very popular and it's not really the coolest thing, but I'm talking about like the stuff that the things that have helped me, the things that don't help me, and how I can make it better. And these are things that are not very popular. Most artists want to talk about you know, what do you keep? How do you keep inspiration? How do you keep this? Where do you buy the canvases? Where do you do this? Where do you do that? Those are all mechanics. Those really are very meaningless things. They're mechanics, and you don't start finding that out until later on in your career. In the beginning, you think that those things matter so much, and they do in the beginning, right? Because you want to get things going that way, but as you start advancing in your career, you start realizing that those things are just mechanics. Like finding inspiration, it's BS. You know, it's just mechanics. If you're committed, you will find inspiration, tons of it. You don't need to wait for inspiration to happen, to occur to you. Same thing with art materials or technique or strategy or whatever. You know, your technique to paint, your style. All those things are mechanics, and most of us get lost in those mechanics right away. And for me, where I'm at right now is going beyond that and really start looking at me as my performance. How can I be the best artist I can be? Not where can I find an edge? Where do they sell, you know, canvases for cheaper? Where it's the best platform for me to show my work? That's the wrong question. The right question is, how can I show up so much that people start noticing me, right? You have to be fluent and on point with your technique to be able to use speed. That's what Shinas is saying. Totally. You have to know certain things too. That's another thing that I've learned. You have to know certain things, and I'm not talking about like knowing as in see, a lot of people study, a lot of people read. This is one of the things I've learned from one of my mentors. A lot of people read, a lot of people have information, but very few people actually know. For example, I know that inspiration is not true, right? I know that inspiration is just another fancy word for procrastination. I know that. You don't have to convince me about that. I don't have to have information about that. If I read it somewhere and I'm like, oh, that's nice. Oh, yeah, well, someone said this. Like, I know through experience, it's something that I know to my core, that if I work, I become creative. It's not the other way around. You don't become creative and then go to work. You first work and then you become creative. That's something that I know. So you have to find people and you have to find these things, right, that are true, that true knowledge, people that know through experience, you know, that if you go and yeah, that you know things for certain things that are certain, that are not theoretical or, well, I think so. Well, have you tried this? Have you tried? No, BS. Let's remove that and let's go find who knows. Do you know this for sure, right? And those are the things that I'm looking for in my art career. When I'm creating artwork, I'm looking for things that are sure, right? For example, how many hours do I work a day? Oh, I work a lot. No, that's an idea. How many hours do you work a day? Do you log the time that you actually paint? Do you log the time that you're actually focus painting, right? Again, guys, this is Takeaway Friday today. I'm talking about the things that I went through my week and things that I've learned today. So you may be telling yourself, this usually still happens to me. It used to happen a lot to me, where I was like, man, I worked so much, right? No, dude, you were busy a lot. Did you actually log how many hours you actually went and created artwork. Did you log how many hours or how many minutes or whatever your time is, right? And then average it through the week, right? It's like saying I went for a 5 mile hike and then didn't do anything for the rest of the week, right? For the remaining 6 days, and then saying you worked out a lot. No, you didn't. You just went and you got tired one day. You didn't work out a lot. It's the week or the month is really what matters. If you start averaging your week, right? At least your week. If you start looking at what you did. Oh man, I try to contact a lot of collectors. Maybe because one day you talked to 3 people and nobody really bought anything from you. That's not contacting a lot of collectors. That's, or trying to get into a gallery. I went and I knocked on 3 doors or 5 doors or whatever, 5 galleries, and nobody wants my stuff. That's not true. See, it's data. It's bad data. It's wrong data. Did you do that? Did you went and contacted 10 different places or 10 different galleries, brick and mortars, whatever, and did you do that for a substantial amount of time every day, right? At least 5 days a week at the very minimum. And how many places, right? Maybe you contacted 5 galleries every single day for 5 days in a row. Right now you have data, right? It may not be sufficient, but it's good. It's good. You now have data, right? And that's what I'm talking about. When I show up to work, many times I get mind drift, right? I'm like, man, I work so much. I'm so tired. I didn't sleep well. Yeah, but if I don't keep a log of how many hours I really worked and how many hours I drove around and I was just kind of wasting time, doing a lot of activities of prep work. You know what I mean? Like prep work, like, I need to go, like right now I'm priming stuff. I need to go prime canvases. I need to go buy supplies. I need to go get this done, go get that. It's a lot of prep work. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need to do the prep work. But how many hours is prep work? How many hours is actual work? Right? Many of us don't have an art studio. Many of us don't have a place where we go and create art. So we have to prep, right? Maybe you set up a table, maybe you set up in your garage or whatever, and you have to log that in, right? You have to log that in, and that's where the urgency and the speed comes in. And many of us don't know that yet in the beginning. When you get further into your art career or you start getting into the bigger leagues, you start realizing the importance of urgency and speed. Because you don't want to just work on stuff. I know I'm covering different stuff here, guys, but this is my takeaway. You don't just want to be working on stuff. You want to get things done. Working on stuff is for employees. Getting things done is for the boss. And in this case, you are the boss of your art business or your art career. And when you get things done, it's the bigger leagues. It may not be the big leagues. Maybe the big leagues is when you get other people to get things done for you as well. I don't know. I'm not in the big leagues. But when you start getting into the bigger leagues, when you start selling your work, commissions, and things start happening for you, you start getting art representation or you start getting your stuff in retail or whatever, and things are flowing for you, you start creating flow, you start realizing that working on things is no longer the goal. The goal now is getting things done. And the only way to get things done is to remove the idea of working on things. I do that. I still do that a lot. I work on things. I'm like, man, I got to work on these canvases. And I have to remember myself, no, you don't, Jose. You don't have to work on it. You're not an employee. You got to get that shit done. Now. Go as fast and as hard as you can and get it done. Because employees work on things. See, employees doesn't matter for the most part if you finish it right away or if you don't. You go work on something, right? Or let's say that maybe you're doing some, unless you're working in projects that have scope and that, but still it's very, there's a more elasticity in time, right? When you work for someone. Sadly, that's the way it is. I don't think it should be that way. I think employees should also be, strong and be like, man, I don't just work on stuff. I'm not going to go and clock in. I'm going to go get stuff done. Right? And the people that do that actually start excelling in their careers. But let me take another sip of my coffee. So as an artist, as a going trooper, as an artist, you don't just want to work on things. You don't want to go in and say, oh, today I'm going to go work on my artwork. Notice how how do you call it? Wishy-washy that is. How unclear that is. I gotta work on art. It's super unclear. It makes no effing sense at all. I'm gonna go in the studio and I'm gonna work on art. What does that even mean? What are you gonna mop the floors? Are you gonna stretch canvas? What are you gonna do? Well, it all helps. It all helps. No, when you start going to the big leagues, you have to be very laser focused. What is it that you're gonna do for the next 15, 20 minutes? Like, what is it that you're gonna do? You're not gonna go work unless you're telling that to someone, right? They don't need to know the details. But when you tell yourself, I'm talking about when we tell ourselves. Like you're in the grocery store and you're like, oh man, in 2 hours I gotta go work in the studio. Those battles are usually lost already. Like you have to be very focused. What are you gonna do? And I'm not talking about like dissecting, like I'm gonna do this and no. I'm talking about I gotta go stretch 10 canvases right now. Or I gotta go stretch 2 canvases. Or I gotta go talk to 10 people right now. Or I gotta go knock on 3 different galleries today. This is what I'm going to do today. It's very focused. You know, I'm going to go finish a commission. I'm going to go and set up my art table and have everything ready so that tomorrow, right, everything is ready for me to go work and finish. I was going to say work and finish, you know, a painting or finish priming 10 canvases or on and on and on and on. It has to be precise because if it's not precise, it's wishy-washy. It just goes. You know, it's like the sea. It'll come, take it, and it'll go. It's not clear. It's not clear. So if it's not clear, there's not an urgency to get it done because it's something that you work on. And if you work on it, you can work on it for 2 or 3 days or a month. And who knows when you're going to be finished. That's why we don't finish projects. I was listening to a TED Talk. This guy was saying different reasons why we didn't finish projects. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I kind of got where this person was going, and I was like, I don't know. He's talking about artists. Why didn't we finish things? The creatives and whatnot. A lot of talk about why Da Vinci didn't finish things, and because he saw it in his mind. So a bunch of BS. That's not true. Da Vinci, like Michelangelo, they worked hard and they finished things. One of Michelangelo's quotes is, if people only knew how much I work on my things, they wouldn't think I'm so great at all. You know, they wouldn't think I'm that great if they only saw how much I worked. So you have to finish things. And I'll leave you guys with that. This is the Takeaway Friday. My takeaway is, look, I needed to log my efforts. I needed to log them. Not just go punch in and punch out of my studio, because many of us do that. I know I'm very guilty of doing that. I'll go into the studio. I'm in the studio all the time. But I'll be like, oh, I got to work on this. I got to work on that. And that is very unfocused. And so one of the things that I started doing now, it's logging, right? Because I saw the need to do that. I used to do it and then didn't do it. And then you know, and on and off until I realized, dude, I got to commit. Look at this cool hair. I got to commit and I got to log my efforts. Because what you don't record, you can't measure. And if you can't measure, you don't know whether you're advancing or you're just declining or you're just steady. And if you're steady, you're not advancing. So what's, you know, that whole steady, it's very average. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not a goal. It's just, oh, I have my head above the water. Yeah, dude, but you're not in the island or on the boat. You're still in the water, right? You just have your head above water. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, either you're in the water or you're out or you're drowning, but don't be partially in the water. Come on, you know? Be in the island, on the island, or be on the boat. Or just drown, but don't have your head above the water. What the hell does that mean? Like, I'm in the water, but I'm not drowning. I hope I make any sense with that. But yeah, log in your efforts, guys. If you're an artist or whatever you do, maybe you're a musician, log in the time that you practice. How many minutes do you practice? I practiced 30 minutes. Log that in. I shared my demo, right, on social media for 20 minutes. Log that in. Log it in. Not, well, I gotta share my demo, and then you spend 3 hours effing around looking at YouTube, answering back people that maybe you shouldn't be answering, fighting with people online. That's not working on something, you know, and it crushes your soul, because we all have limited time in this world, you know. So as days go by, it's just crushing the soul. Swimming, Jose, swimming. There we go. I love that. Yeah, you can't just stay there in the water. You know, you're swimming towards shore, or you're trying to get on a boat. But either way, right? Don't stay in the water. Don't stay partially in the water. If you're gonna be in the water, well, might as well just drown and drink the Kool-Aid and be there. You know, be like, this is not for me. It's cool, but that's what I recommend, anyways. And I mean this figuratively, of course. I'm not saying go drown. Please don't do that. There is hope out there. So yeah, guys. You know, just log in your efforts. This is what I've learned, and I want to share this with you guys today. This is my takeaway Friday. In order to measure where you're going, you must. It's an absolute must. You have to log in your efforts. This is something that I know I need to start doing more with more commitment. Logging in my efforts will allow me. I know this. It will allow me to be realistic about how much I work and how much more I need to work, or how much less I need to work on certain activities, right? And really pay attention to the things that matter, right? To the things that matter most to me in my career, in my business, as a father, as a husband, you know, as a son, as a brother, you know, as a citizen, or you know, the things that matter, the things that are important. What is it? Where do you need to put more effort, or where do you need to remove certain efforts, right? Things that maybe, I don't know, maybe you play 2 hours of Xbox and you say, I don't have time for painting. Well, it's not true, you know. You don't want to make time for painting. That's different. Or maybe you spend a lot of time hallucinating in the art stores. You know, maybe you're like me when I was younger. I used to go and walk around in the art stores and just spend time there, or in the art and the bookshops, and just reading about artists and be like, oh yeah, hallucinate for like 3-4 hours, and then go home and draw for like 10 minutes, or you know, I've gotten my doses of hallucination, dopamine, and then not move, not do anything. Right? Because now I got the reward, right? I got my dopamine reward. And so therefore, why put more effort if you already got the reward, right? The mind is, the hallucinations. This is where I don't believe, and I don't drink the same Kool-Aid that many artists do, where they get together and talk about, or people out there. I know people out there teaching about art and talking about, you know, artists, art career, and talking a lot about the mental aspect of it, right? The desires and this and that and that. No, it's unless we start becoming more, keep that positivity. Of course, you need the positivity. Without it, there's nothing. Everything is lost. Keep the positivity, and be strong with the positivity of how you feel and blah blah. But don't get swept by your emotions, because a lot of people are talking about emotions and the creative process and the emotional aspect of it and all of this. For me, you know, as a working artist from 10 feet away, I'm just going like, this is a bunch of BS. This is just procrastination. I know it is. I know I've done it. I've seen artists do it over and over, and I know how difficult it was to get out of that. You know, it's entertainment for the mind. If you sit there and you're like, oh, my creative process, oh, blah, blah. No, log in how many hours do you actually work? You know, log in how many hours. See, the thing with being an artist is that everybody can claim to be an artist. We can all claim to be an artist. But if you were a doctor, I mean, if you're studying medicine, you couldn't just go read a book about medicine and then all of a sudden be like, oh, I'm going to go operate on someone. Oh, no, you can't claim that, right? With artists, you can claim that. With lawyers, you can't claim that either. You have to pass that bar, right? So being an artist, everybody can claim that. Can claim being an artist and, you know, I'm an artist and blah, blah, blah. But I'm talking to people who want to be working artists. If you want to be a working artist and this is what you want to do and you want to, and I'm not just talking about monetizing. I'm talking about being the best artist you can be, like thriving, right? Then you need to start becoming more diligent to logging the time that you're working, so that it's true, so that it's not just an idea. Shana says, that's true. That does happen. More work and less fiction. Yeah, more work and less fiction. She also says, we can sit for hours and research. Yeah, it's not, it's not conductive to your goal. It's not. Every time I'm in the studio, I'm asking myself more and more. Lately, I've been asking myself more and more, where is this activity taking you? What is this activity about? And how long and how much pressure does this activity need? How long does this need to take you? Do you have to sit here and look at Facebook for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then get lost in threads? Is that an activity? Or is that 20 minutes better spent sharing my artwork on Facebook? Why not? Or sharing my artwork on YouTube, or sharing my artwork on Instagram, or connecting with other people, right? But truly connecting, not like trying to get buddy with someone, because then you can't really move on to the next people. Those of you who are in sales or who are in networking, you guys know that you can't spend the whole night. If you're going to go out networking, you can't spend the whole night with the same person. Right? You have to go talk to as many people as possible, and then you start seeing the key people that you want to spend more time with, the ones that are going to bring value, and you're giving value to them, right? The value exchange. You don't want to spend time with people that are just, they're not buying, but they're just, spending, wasting your time, or they're not giving you value, and you're not giving them value, because it's not just all washed up. It's just petty talk, right? Rishana says we can sit for hours and do research, but not actually do any work. Yeah. I think we all kind of are pretty much guilty of that. Just spending time hallucinating. A lot of fiction, a lot of, oh man, it'd be great to have my studio. Yeah, well, I'm gonna paint. I'm gonna light up some candles. I'm going to open the bottle of, and if you're doing it for that reason, that's awesome. But if you want to be a working artist, you need to remove all of that BS, all of that. Maybe you want to leave that for when you that time you want to celebrate. Maybe you sold a nice commission, or you got accepted into a nice gallery or whatever, and you want to celebrate. That's awesome. You should want to celebrate. But many times we spend a lot of time celebrating and not really working. So, and again, this is a Takeaway Friday. I hope you guys got any value from this. If you guys did, give me some hearts. I love those hearts. If you guys later are watching this on YouTube, guys, please place your questions or comments below. I do get back to my YouTubers as well. And those of you who haven't seen my YouTube channel, please go check it out. Subscribe, share. I have over 1,000 videos now on YouTube. I'm not a professional YouTuber. All my videos are like shitty lighting and shitty audio, but massive content, I believe. If when I was starting out as an artist, if someone was sharing this with me, I'd be thrilled. Not a lot of artists like to share about the actual workings of being an artist. A lot of people just be like, follow your dreams and keep a happy face. That's not going to help. We need to talk about the workings of it. What the mechanics, but the mechanics, not the BS mechanics, but the mechanics that make the components work, right? Like logging your efforts. That's one. That's my Takeaway Friday today, guys. I hope you guys got some good value. Take care. Tag an artsy fartsy friend, maybe they like what we're doing here. And don't forget, let me run really quick through the week, because every week at noon Arizona time, my wife and I come to you with cool art stuff, right? So Mondays is Mindset Mondays. I talk about what it takes to be in the right state of mind to create your artwork and to follow up with your activities as an artist. On Tuesdays, it's Marketing Tuesday. So I talk about marketing. I talk about different stuff, from just simply going and knocking on a door of a gallery, or sharing something on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. On Wednesdays, I do an art demo. So where I explain more in depth of what I'm doing, how I'm mixing the colors and whatnot. I know a lot of people, this is very important to people. So I share that. Brushes that I buy, colors that I use, canvases, and on and on and on and on. The palette and whatnot. For oil painting, I'm going to be doing some for different stuff, different mediums. I do different, I'm a multimedia artist, so I do different stuff. And on Thursdays, I have Thursday Cafecito. My wife and I talk about working in a partnership what it's like to work in a partnership. That's Thursdays. And on Fridays, well, today it's Takeaway Friday. I talk about what I learned in order to advance me to become a better artist for the next week, right? You always want to be learning. So, and applying. You don't just want to take information. You want to take information, apply, right? And then go take more information and apply. If you're not applying, you're not learning. You're just receiving information. Everybody does that. Even a potato can receive information. Just put it in front of the TV or in front of Google. It'll receive information. It doesn't mean it's doing anything, right? We need to apply it. I'll leave you guys with that. Take care. Thank you so much. Till next time.